So today we have Sue, and Sue is the proud owner of the Cavalon, Auto Gyro Cavalon, and it is the most beautiful color I've ever seen. So Sue, can you tell us a little bit about this plane and give us a brief history and your involvement with it and things like that?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I bought this a few years ago from Auto Gyro in Baybridge, at Baybridge Airport in Maryland. I had been exploring getting into a plane of my own for about a year before this. I was at the point where I could buy something. I was initially thinking fixed wing, but as I've started to look at planes, I started running across the modern gyroplanes. I said, oh, that could be interesting. I wasn't looking for something, think about your mission statement. I wasn't looking for something that was going to be get there fast. I didn't want the plane getting there before I arrived. And I wanted to be able to see something, enjoy the ride. And so when I was looking at planes, nothing was catching my eye particularly, but I started to see the modern gyroplanes. I thought, that could fit the mission. So at that point, I looked a little bit more into it, spent some time looking at Facebook and some of the Instagram, other forums to find out more about them. Had a bunch of questions. And then I found an instructor at Santa Maria Airport, Vance Breeze, who I was out visiting my son in California. We went down and I got my first taste of a gyroplane with Vance, and he answered all sorts of questions. And we went up in his Predator, I want to say, and it was just such a fabulous experience. He has an open cockpit tandem seating, the front back seating, and I thought it was really cool, and I thought it was really cool. So I said, okay, I want to fly in Massachusetts. Don't want to be a one-season flyer. So I'm looking at closed cockpit gyroplanes and trying to figure out who I can get to from home in Massachusetts. And I finally said, all right, Auto Gyro is in Maryland. That's a place I can drive to. And I signed up for my first week of lessons with Bob Snyder down at Baybridge Airport. And about halfway through my first week in this plane, because that was the one they were using for training.
Oh, how convenient.
Yeah, I knew they had it on the market because I'd seen their ads up for it, and I decided to buy it. It's like, I don't need to try the others. This will do it.
Perfect.
Yeah, so I ended up leaving it there. Obviously, I wasn't checked out in it yet. It was a transition training from having the fixed wing. So I would go down, take a week off from vacation, go down, take a week's worth of lessons, go back, forget half of it, come back and do it again. But by that fall, I passed my check ride, and my first distance trip was I flew it home to Massachusetts from Maryland.
Oh, wow.
So that was my first long cross country in, probably a couple of decades since I'd last done one. And I've been flying it happily up in Massachusetts ever since then.
Beautiful. I must say, I fell in love with it too. For the guys out of Petaluma, I got to try it for the first time, and it's like a flying armchair. And I enjoyed it so much. It was so comfortable.
I would say that these are very comfortable. They've got more elbow room than your 172. It's got heated seats. It's got the cabin heat. So, like I said, flying year-round in Massachusetts.
That's pretty great.
Yeah. I don't have anything other than, the less than the 6-packs worth of instruments hidden here. They're available now with the glass panel, anything you'd want in that regard. The newer ones, I think, are coming with autopilot. So there's a lot of things you can option up to. But for the kind of flying I'm doing, which is basic VFR, day VFR, I've got my light sport rotorcraft gyroplane, which is different than helicopter. You need the gyroplane. Even helicopter pilots need to do a transition training. to be able to fly this, but that gets me where I want to go, and I've been taking it places.
So just a brief history about you. Okay, so you obviously, like you said, this is transition training. What were you flying before? Why did you get into flying? It sounds crazy because this is your first time at Oshkosh.
This is
brought this here.
Well, this is my first time flying in.
Oh, okay.
I was here for the first time last year, but I drove out.
Okay.
I mean, background in flying was right after I finished my engineering degree at State University New York at Buffalo. My first job was at a place in Connecticut that was right opposite Danbury Airport. And I'm sitting there in the lunchroom saying, there's all these planes going by. It's time to do something about this.
Okay.
So I went down to the airport. They had a couple of different schools at the airport. Took a ride in a Cessna, took a ride in the Warriors, the schools at opposite ends. Decided I liked the Warriors. And I started taking lessons. So that's when I originally got my private certificate.
Oh, wow.
Was right out of college. But then, life gets busy and work would get busy. And later on, it was family. So I'd be in and out of it for a while. And over the last 3 years, I have more time in this now than I did in all those years renting airplanes and getting current again and all of that. So
that is amazing. Chief, thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah.
You have a very, very beautiful aircraft. What is the paint color on this?
The paint color is called Porsche Miami Blue.
It looks wonderful.
Yes.
And congratulations on your first flying.
Thank you.
And I hope you have lots and lots of fun.
Thank you very much.